Ladies and gentlemen, MrCropper here. A little interaction with Rucka, Rucka Reacts channel. I did a bunch of comments, and they're down here underneath this video, assuming they come up, assuming they're not blocked. So you can go see my comments on the various things there, but he's got something to say to me right here. I want to give an answer for this.
These things do have consequences. Like, you can't just say, like, oh, we're going to beat the left, beat the left, beat the left. People are driven by ideas. Ideas are the motor of history.
Right. So just because ideas are the motor of history and people are driven by ideas doesn't mean that you can't have a battle or a fight. Okay? So we won World War II, and when we came out of World War II, we were still altruists, but we won. We won the Cold War, and when we came out of the Cold War, we were a bedraggled society with federal education involvement and very high taxes and so on. But we won the Cold War, the Soviets lost. Okay? So sometimes you have to fight for your life. Sometimes it's not just understanding. Right? How could we win World War II or the Cold War by just understanding? We won them by building huge amounts of bombs and fighting for our life. Or we'd be slaves today. You want to know what Europe would look like if Hitler had won? Look at China. It's just a long-term fascist state. So that's what the United States would look like if we would have given in to the Soviets. Sometimes you fight for your life. Now, I just am saying that I think that it's getting to that point with the left today. That's what I'm saying, all right?
And make up your mind. Do you want to be Tucker Carlson and own the libtards, or do you want to be an objectivist and...
All right. So Tucker Carlson, own the libtards. Either I'm just clowning around with no serious ideas, or...
And speak in terms of philosophy and really explain what's going on and understand what's happening.
Speak in terms of philosophy, understand what's going on, understand what's happening. Is that what objectivists do? Do we use philosophy to understand things?
So that we all can better understand.
So that we can all better understand? Is that what objectivists do? We understand things? We use philosophy to understand things, huh?
You know what I'm saying, man?
I do. I know what you're saying. That's the mind-body dichotomy. We don't have to separate these things, especially not objectivists, for God's sake. Marry your mind and your body together. The left is absolutely horrible today. Now, if you don't like the right, then do something about it. Because that's where you are today. If you're not on the left, then you're on the right. The right is a big, messy tent. You don't like it? Say something. That's what I'm saying is, what the hell is going on with the objectivists? Why aren't they taking care of the situation? Why are they off screaming their heads off with Trump derangement syndrome, sticking their heads in the sand? Why don't we take care of the things that are in disorder? Why don't we put our house in order? The right is our house. There's nobody on the right with any ideas that are coherent except objectivists. It's our house. Let's put it in order.
By the way, with your comparison to World War II, today the Ayn Rand Institute are uniquely championing facing the Islamic threat and mostly naming it, but certainly eliminating the threat that is coming from the ablectivists, as you might call them. It is coming from the Institute. You got to hand it to them there. Whereas the populist right, the Trump fans, and the...
Now, from what I've heard, Huron Brooks says that Islam's not as dangerous as Christianity. Does that open your eyes a little bit? Make you wonder what the hell is going on over there, ARI?
Populists around the world, their solution to terrorism is to build a wall, to close the borders. They're the ones that don't have the moral confidence to defend the way of life that we love. So,
building a wall and closing the border isn't defending the way of life that you love? I think we disagree. We definitely disagree there. If I build a border and stop people from flooding into my country, to me, that seems like defending my life and my freedom. especially if the people flooding into the country are likely to jeopardize my life and my freedom. Now, if they're just more freedom-loving citizens, fine. But if they're from a bunch of basket case socialist countries and they're bringing bad beliefs with them, then closing the borders and defending my nation is definitely defending my life and my freedom. So make up your mind. Which do you want to do? You're saying, I mean, come on, that was over the top, Rucka. That was over the top.
To terrorism is to build a wall, to close the borders. They're the ones that don't have the moral confidence to defend the way of life that we.
What does it mean? They don't have moral confidence to defend their way of life. They're just going to build a wall and close the border. Looks to me like they're defending their way of life. So I think that what would it mean to defend your way of life then? To let a whole bunch of violent people come in and rape your society? Is that defending your way of life? What does that mean? I don't even know what you mean by that.
Love. So you got to take that into account as well. Anyway, I don't hate Cropper. You know, if Cropper does a Kant book reading club, I'll check out his reading club. I'll continue to consume his content. But I know that my conversation with Cropper left a lot of people wanting, like they wanted me to push harder with regards to Trump or China or whatever it is. But as you know, and I think it should be clear, my purpose with Cropper was to state my position clearly and to try and get a clear understanding of where Cropper stands. And I don't think it's entirely clear. Even Cropper himself doesn't entirely know what he's pushing for other than beating the left. And that is not an objectivist position. That does not impress me much, my friend.
What is an objectivist position then? Is it something floating and philosophical and not having anything to do with reality? Is that objectivism? When does objectivism become a real world thing that you actually use in the world? When does it come down out of the ivory tower and come into use? If not defending our borders, for example, from illegal aliens. Or defending our economy from the ravages of China. If it's not objectivism that we're going to use in these debates, then what ideas do you want to be used in these debates? These debates are going on. Do you want objectivists to be part of these debates, or do you want us to stay away from these debates because there are certain people in those debates that don't agree with us? I just don't see what do you think objectivism is, Rucka? What do you want it to be?
Friends, so challenge yourself a bit more, and until next time, this has been Sitting on the Beach.
Challenge myself to be more philosophical? When does the philosophy meet reality? I'm philosophical enough. I've done that for 25 years. But you know, even 10 years ago, I wasn't worried about who got elected. It didn't matter who got elected because one guy was as bad as the other. That's no longer the case. Now we've got insane Democrats versus Lord Savior Trump, objectivist on high. You know, and he's a buffoon. He's fighting with the Fed, trying to get interest rates lowered, thinking that would help the economy. And the Fed's fighting with him, keeping interest rates high, thereby helping the economy. They are thinking they're hurting the economy. So it's all a circus. Yes. But objectivists ought to have the presence of mind, the clarity of thought to see that the left is a completely insane nihilistic suicide machine. And the right is a really big messy tent with lots of libertarian type people in it that believe in lowering taxes and protecting capitalism, and they believe communism is bad and we shouldn't be strengthening China. There's lots of good views to be had on the right today. So, all right, there we are, Rucka. Now, as for, thank you for speaking with me. I appreciate the conversation. As for future conversations, I don't know if we need to talk anymore, but if you want to, I'm open to it. But over the next few weeks, I'm going to be doing a bunch of interviews, and I'm going to be finding out what is to be done. Because, I believe that we're reaching a point where some sort of action needs to be taken. Now, the action might be something like constant debating with people from the alt-right, like Louder with Crowder and Jordan Peterson and Sargon of Akkad. You know, maybe constant the debates don't even have to be two-way. I don't even have to meet them. I can just go out and get their content and refute it. Maybe that's what the future holds for me. I'm not sure. But some sort of activity has to come. Now you say, quit cozying up with the right. It's not just right versus left. The right's no good at all. That's really my whole point, Rucka, is that we've got to get the objectivists onto the scene in the right. Okay? My whole point is that it's a big, messy tent. And you say, well, don't ally yourself with them. No, I'm going in there with objectivism. I'm putting it down like a battle standard, and I'm saying, all right, all of y'all who like these certain things like individual rights and freedom of speech, listen up. So, I'm not going to go in there and cozy up and say, oh, I love whatever it is, racist nationalism or whatever stupid thing from the left that you think is on the right. I'm going to go in there with objectivism. So, you think we're traveling in different directions. I think that you're waiting at the bus stop for something to happen, and the bus keeps coming by and stopping, and then going, and you're just still sitting there at the bus stop. Get on the bus, let's go.